I remember reading about the call for artists for the Maine Labor Mural and saying, this has to be my job. And it was exactly what I had been looking forward to do. It was exactly up my alley. I don't remember specifically if they were calling for a mural to be put up in the Labor Department, but I seem to remember that that was what terminology that was used, although it wasn't necessarily had to be a painted mural. It could have been a collage. It could have been, I think that was, the call was open. Other than that, they wanted something that would represent the history of Maine labor, and that would be put on the walls of the Maine Labor Department, and it would bring heart back into the Maine Labor Department, because the Labor Department had come from 6 very warm, cozy environments into one industrial building. They had consolidated all their offices into one location, and the mural, whatever it was going to be, was to bring that kind of the heart back into that industrial building. I am interested in the human condition, and I am interested in how people interact with their environment, whether it's their working environment, their quiet environment, inside, how they interact with other people, compositions, figures, different figures interacting with each other or not interacting with each other. I'm really interested in a strong narrative. I've always been interested in that, and that completely flows into the Maine Labor Mural. How I prepared for the commission after I was awarded it was a lot of research. I went to all the I'm not going to say all the small museums in Maine, but quite a few of the museums in Maine. I went to the Liberty Tool Barn. I went to look at PVs and all sorts of tools they were. I had the Southwest Harbor Library in my little community was a great resource. The librarians worked hand in glove with me and getting research. I also worked at the Bangor Public Library with the second floor librarian who supplied me with a lot of information on the logging industry. And all this time, during this whole time, I was doing sketches, and I was also sketching anybody that came into my studio that I thought might be a good subject for the labor mural. My absolutely key reference was Charles Scontras, of course, the Maine labor historian, who we probably had a dialogue every day through email about the different episodes that we wanted to depict in the Maine Labor Mural. And then once I had the episode, I could start doing the research and also start creating the characters that I wanted to put into the mural that I thought would fit well with that particular episode in history. I had already done so much drawing and so much work on what episodes of the mural that I wanted to pick, and this is in conjunction with Charlie. I remember Charles Scontras. I asked him, because there's so much history, I said, how are we going to narrow this down to 11 panels? And I say, people ask me all the time, who are your 10 favorite artists? And it's an almost impossible thing to narrow down. But Charlie took that and was able to narrow down to these 11 panels, which we agreed upon, that took place at different episodes in the history. So when I was actually drawing them out, and then I came upon this whole idea of the muted color platform and the black and white newspaper background, which I kind of had presented when I applied for the job. So I would work on them as they were sitting up next to each other so that I could see that the figures were in scale, and the black and white vignettes were going to form a pattern, kind of an abstracted pattern behind the figures. Because originally in the Labor Department, these were going to be butted up right next to each other. So it had to have a flow. We did want to make sure that we included as much as we could about the population in Maine, and that was actually one of the things that was necessary, that in each panel we wanted to be accurate historically to who was actually working. Like in the Maine woods, there were a lot of Native Americans working, and in the shipyards there were some African American individuals working, and then the age range between the workers, certainly child labor all the way up to older workers. These are all incorporated in 11 small panels. And of course, with Charles Scontras, who was the guiding light behind everything, I always asked him for the accurate history, and he always gave it to me in his wonderful poetic way, which really, for an artist to have somebody like Charlie who's able to articulate so beautifully everything, it just worked really well. If you've never heard Charlie Scontras speak, you're missing something. So, when you are really engaged with a piece of art, whether it's a piece of music, a piece of literature, a theatrical piece, whatever it is, you need to have that private space and private communication. And that's what I hope that when somebody stands between each of the panels, they're encouraged to find out what really is going on with these people in this panel. Who are they? What did they experience? What was their life like? How has it changed? Pretty much, no matter who you are or from what strata of society that you come from, you can find some shared humanity with those people.